You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com.
This episode is sponsored by Horizon Studios.
If you enjoy this podcast, it would mean so much to us if you'd be willing to take 30 seconds to do these tiny things.
First, can you please follow or subscribe to Self Care Club?
Following the pod helps you because you'll never miss an episode, and it helps us because you'll never miss an episode.
So to do this, just go to the Self Care Club show page on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts, and then just tap the plus sign in the upper right-hand corner or click on follow.
This is the most important thing for the pod. And while you're there, if you'd be willing to give us a 5-star review, we would be so grateful.
Hello everyone, welcome to Self Care Club. I'm Nicole Goodman.
And I'm Laura Mishcon. How are you today?
How am I today? I am full of allergies.
You are. I said to you when I came over, what's happened to your face? You look different.
Well, there's a lot that's happened to my face. Firstly,
Yeah.
I woke up with a cold sore
Oh.
yesterday, so that's kind of healing. It's healing quite nicely,
Yeah.
actually. Then I went and got my eyebrows done, and the
What do you
woman
mean done?
threaded.
Right.
What do you mean? What do I mean done?
Well, I've never been to a person, we've had this discussion before. I've never been to a person about my eyebrows. They don't do anything. Nothing grows. I plucked them once when I was 13 and that was the end of the story. So I've never.
I find it so annoying how low maintenance you are.
What?
And how good you
Well, I
look
choose
for
to
how
be.
little maintenance you do to yourself.
There's
I just find it.
There's zero maintenance.
I find that
I
annoying.
have my hair cut twice a year. That's it. And my nails done every 3 weeks.
Oh, no
End
one
of.
likes a show off.
I'm not showing off, but I choose
are.
to do that. I choose that.
Yeah, but you can choose to do that because you look as you do. Don't exercise.
Imagine how I'd look if I did do stuff.
Yeah.
A lot better. Right.
Probably wouldn't. You'd probably look just as good
So
as
you
look.
had them threaded, okay?
I had them threaded.
Yeah.
Anyway, the woman that I normally go to has left.
Right.
And so me and Daisy has the most amazing eyebrows you've ever seen
got
in
great
your
eyebrows.
entire life. And this woman basically threaded all of our eyebrows off.
90s style.
Yes.
Oh.
And she's done them into a point so I look really fucking angry. I know I now sound angry about the eyebrows because I am. So the emotion is fitting the look. And then I did something else. I caved.
What have you done?
I had some Botox done.
I knew you had. I knew it.
So with the Botox, because it's just been done, so it needs to wear off a bit.
You were stopping with that shit.
You know what? I don't even like it. I don't even know why I do it. I don't like this is my dilemma. I should bring this to Wednesday's show. I don't like myself without the Botox, but I also don't like myself with the Botox, and I can't work out which one I like more.
I like you when your face looks like your own face. It gives a very hardened look, the Botox. I knew you'd done something. You try and put one over on me. I know your face.
I'm sitting here telling you. You only said half an hour ago.
I said to you this morning what you've done to your face.
No, also.
I know your face very well.
All right. Well, also.
Yeah.
Also.
Also.
I'm having allergies, so my
Yeah.
eyes are very puffy. I've
Yeah.
got no fucking eyebrows. That hasn't helped anything. I'm basically just going to
just
cut
do
a
that.
fringe.
Cut a fringe. Then we'll be fucking twins.
Yeah, but I've got... Anyway, so
Yeah.
that's what's happening.
Okay.
That's
There's
how
a
I
lot
am.
of stuff happening.
Well, I haven't finished. That's just
Oh
the...
my God.
That's
What
just the
else?
start. There's a lot.
Right.
There's a lot going on.
There's a cold sore, there's over-threaded eyebrows, there's Botox, there's puffy eyes from
Over-Botox.
allergies. Anything else?
I'm still hungover from Saturday.
Wow.
I always get that.
It's now
though.
Monday. Okay.
I always get that.
Yep.
That's not new.
No.
And that's it.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm really relieved that it's today.
I don't know what that means.
Well, I just mean, so we've both had very big weekends. You had your husband's 50th on Saturday night. I
Yeah.
had my son's 18th on
Yeah.
Friday night. So I was preparing, and I know it was a lot less people, but I was cooking for 10 and you had a party for like 58.
Yeah.
It was very, I know. I had less to do, but I had, as well as the hosting, I also had my downstairs redecorated. So there was a lot of chaos, painters, dust sheets, everything had to be removed from my kitchen. I didn't have a kitchen for 2 days. I don't like that. I was very discombobulated. And you were like, oh my God, I've never known anyone so much drama over having a room painted.
It was, I have to say, you were very dramatic about it. And you are the least dramatic person I have in my life.
But
there was a lot of drama around it.
I really found the loss of control and the moving of stuff very annoying. And then I had to make this dinner. So it was like a big build up. And then once dinner was done and it was all lovely and everyone had a lovely time, then I could relax, come to your party, had a great time, such a great time. I don't remember coming home.
You just disappeared in the night.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And I said to someone, where's Laura? But the thing is that I lost track of time. So I
don't know what time I left. I haven't got a clue.
I don't know. I know that the last person left about 1:30 and I thought it was about 11:30. So I was missing a couple of hours anyway. And you just weren't there. I don't know what time this was.
All I know is that the next day, the older kids were like, Mum, you were a fucking mess last night. I was like, was I? They were like, yeah, you kept trying to cuddle us. I was like, I don't even remember coming home.
Cute.
Don't remember coming home. Anyway, so I feel like there's been a lot of kind of chaos, moving parts, a lot of stuff to organise and prepare for the 18th. And I feel like it's just been really, really full on and busy. And then today happened. And then you just like blew my mind with this non-show that we are doing today.
I haven't blown your mind. I haven't blown your mind. I have not blown your... I'm not taking responsibility for that. That's not fair. That's not what happened.
Come on then.
What happened was, and they don't know about this yet.
No, they don't. Because better fill them in.
Yeah. What happened was, clubbers, is... Right, so this is how it works. I do all the post-production. Lauren does all the pre-production. So she does all the writing, all the research. She gets the shows together. And then once we've recorded the shows, I then do everything else after. So that's how we roll. We've always rolled like that. I come to the studio on a Monday. I just expect there to be a show in the drive. There always is. And like she goes to listen to the show on a Monday and she just expects it to be there and it's usually there.
I'm the front end of the panto horse and you're the back end.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
And it works really, really well.
It really does.
Until it doesn't.
I mean, it never really doesn't.
We had a show lined up for today.
Yes.
And we were talking last night on the phone, but we were doing more of a debrief of the party, weren't we?
Yeah.
And then we both said, I don't want to record tomorrow's show. I think it's going to be shit.
Yeah.
This was last night. It's now 10 to 2 on a Monday.
I mean, I'd been thinking about this all week because normally...
Well, you hadn't been thinking about it all week because you'd been very busy in your chaos.
Well, I had been busy in my chaos, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, I know the show's coming up. And then normally I'm preparing at the end of the week. And on the weekend, I do the final tweaks and I'm looking at the Sunday papers to get our wellness stuff for the Friday's show. So I'm on it and I'm sitting there thinking, I can't make a show out of this practice. It's shit. I thought, I don't know how to like tell Nicole that we can't make a show out of this practice, but you kind of knew exactly the same thing.
We always have this.
We're always of one mind.
So I said to you yesterday, I kind of was like feeling the waters because I was thinking, I don't want to do this show. What are we even going to call the show?
Yes.
It just didn't make any sense. It wasn't going to translate into a show.
No, it wasn't.
Because you can have all these wonderful practices, but they don't, at the end of the day, we're making a podcast.
Yeah.
So it has to be podcast worthy.
Yeah.
This wasn't.
No.
And I said to you, look, I haven't prepared anything for the show. I'll wing it. It will be fine. And you were like, I don't know who should be doing it. And I said, no, let's scrap it. I don't want to do it either. So this is one of the first times we've ever done that. We've come to the studio without a show. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have a show on being unprepared. Is it ever a good thing? Is there beauty in it? Is there a gift in not being prepared? And Lauren is nodding and smiling because the thing is that Lauren often over prepares.
Always.
And I often like to wing it. But this is why we're a good team. We also have a big talk coming up in a couple of days.
I mean, it's making me want to vomit.
We've been invited to the ITN
to actual ITN
studios.
Yeah.
To do a talk to all of their staff about self-care.
Yeah.
Which is fabulous.
It's
a real privilege and it's fabulous. Lauren.
I'm cacking in the hoisin.
Yeah.
Which translates as to shitting one's pants.
She's having a little bit of a nervous breakdown about it.
And not a little bit, a medium-sized
in and amongst the chaos.
Yeah.
with the kitchen and the hallway being painted and the 18th, there was a little thrown in. And just so you know, I'm having a nervous breakdown about ITN, but I can't talk about it. There was a lot of that last week.
I think I did tell you last week I actually wasn't going.
Oh, yeah, you also told me that.
Yeah.
But I am used to your little panic attacks, and I do ignore them.
That doesn't help me. What happens is I then start to over organize things.
So you over prepare.
Hence
we're getting back to the topic. You do over prepare.
So just to put this into context, because this is the sort of thing that would just make you want to curl up in a ball and die. But it was the only thing that powered me through Thursday afternoon was all of my obviously color-coded cookbooks had to come off 3 huge shelves, be removed into the living room, and there they were. And then I had to put them all back. I don't know how many cookbooks. I'm going to say like maybe 100, maybe more. And each and every one had to be wiped and dusted and then put back in rainbow order on the bookshelves. And because I was feeling so anxious about the ITN talk and the fact that my house was a mess and I was cooking dinner for 10 people, it was like...
Cooking dinner for 10 people. I'm really sorry. You often cook dinner for 10 people.
No, but it was a special birthday and it had to be really nice.
I know, but I just don't... You put a lot of anxiety into that, and I kept thinking, she often cooks dinner for 10 people.
Maybe 6 or 8. 10's quite a lot.
Once you're making for 8 and making for 10,
but I ended up basically doing this bookshelf reorganization. It was like a mindfulness exercise because it was so mindless.
What's this got to do with preparing?
Because I'm saying I was feeling so anxious about the fact that we were not prepared for today's show and we were not prepared for this ITN talk that I had to put order into the chaos. So you are happy to just kind of go with the chaos, go with the flow, wing things. Whereas when I feel underprepared, I have to over prepare and over control other things in my life.
It's high functioning anxiety.
Yes.
Is what it is.
Yes.
Hello, I think Brene Brown once said it. Hello, I'm Brene Brown and I'm an over functioner.
Oh, is that what I am?
It's a thing. It is anxiety, but you just over function.
Yeah, but I put it into a really kind of constructive
that's over function
place.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I do that.
So I don't do that. When I get anxious, I'm just anxious and I find it hard to function.
You freeze.
I don't freeze because you said to me the other day when I was really anxious and I said, I just feel like I'm losing it. Well, you're not. You said, you're not. You're here and you're working and, you're doing everything that needs to be done. So I wanted to bring this to the show. I thought there is merit and juice in talking about being unprepared, how we cope with it, and how we can find the joy of it. And I always say to you, because there is joy in it, and I know that you hate it.
I do.
You are better off script.
I don't agree, and I don't like it. And I live by the mantra, if you fail to prepare, then prepare to fail. Because I really believe that.
I don't. Also, I think if we were asked to do something that wasn't in our realm, then I would need to prepare it. But forget the ITN talk, just coming here today, we've done, I think, 520 episodes.
That is a lot of podcasting.
It's a lot of podcasting. It's a lot of being with each other. And so I trust this so much, and I trust this dynamic so much that whatever we're going to talk about, we're going to have something to say because we've always got each other's back. So I just knew, and I still absolutely am adamant that this is making a good show because it's an interesting conversation. And it's interesting how each one of us react to preparation, react to order, and I guess throw chaos in there as well. I don't really like chaos, but we both find different things chaotic.
Yes.
And I just think it's really interesting how we come at it again, always from completely different places.
Like you said to me on Saturday when you were preparing for this huge party, I love it when my house is like getting ready to have loads of people in it. Yeah, I love it when my house is getting ready for a party.
Yeah, it's my favourite thing.
And do you know what my favourite thing is? When everyone leaves and I can tidy it up. That's what I like. That is what I like.
But there is beauty there too. So the next morning when I came downstairs, it was pretty it was okay. I mean, it needed a lot of cleaning, and it needed, I cleaned for 6 hours and tidied up and figured it all out. And I had some help on the night. I had 2 waitresses and they were really helpful. But there was nothing better than about 7 p.m. last night when the house was just back together.
Yeah.
And this morning when all the deliveries were being taken away and the house was my house again.
So you do like order?
I love order. Yeah, I do love order. But I don't rely on it as a point of self-care, I guess.
I think I really, really do. And I've sort of, it's been hammered home to me now that the older I get, the worse I am with the chaos. I feel like the older I get, the more order I need. I was better when I was younger at being more relaxed about things and letting things go and not sweating the small stuff and all of that. Like my room when I was a teenager, even in my early 20s, was, believe it or not, a fucking sty. Like you wouldn't recognize it as me. I'm noticing that, and I'm also noticing that I need my environment to be incredibly disciplined, organized and ordered for everything else to function for me. Like it's the start. It's almost like my home is an extension of my brain.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I am happier in a tidy house and an ordered house. Of course I am. I am. But I'm okay to come into something unprepared when I know what it is I'm talking about. So I'm happy to come to this episode without a script because I think we're better off script. I'm so trusting, like I said before, in you and me having a conversation because we've done it many, many times. And we haven't just done it on a podcast. We do it
all day.
All the time. Yes. Every day.
Yes.
So I'm trusting in that. And when it comes to the ITN talk, the reason that I'm not freaking out about it is because we've written a book. We have recorded over 500 episodes and I know how to talk about self-care. Like there's few things, if they asked me to sit there and talk about parenting, I would have a total freak out, even though I'm a parent, but it's not an area I feel confident in enough to address a room full of people. This I do. And then what I found really interesting is I went into the drive today to start putting the talk together and you'd actually written something.
I'd spent 6.5 hours
You'd actually written the talk.
Yeah, the whole thing.
But what you'd done is you'd written a new talk. And I said to you this morning, we've written a book. Why are you writing this again in like a different style and with different language and
over-preparing?
You're over-preparing. What waste of fucking time.
But to me, it was, I had to do that because I was feeling so anxious about it. The only way through that and out of it was to be proactive about it and prepare as much as I could possibly prepare to the point of over-preparation. So then I felt less worried about it. This episode is brought to you by Notion.
Have you ever stumbled upon a tool that feels like it's been tailor-made for you? Well, that's exactly how we feel about Notion. Simply and beautifully designed with all your notes and docs in one place and the power of AI built inside. It's where every idea, task and episode comes to life effortlessly.
Notion merges creativity with productivity seamlessly. Whether we're planning out our episode schedule, collabing on show notes or tracking guest invitations, it's perfect for those who may be becoming a little forgetful in midlife.
Hey, just the other day we used it to map out an entire season of our podcast in record time, and that's why Notion has become an indispensable part of our podcasting toolkit. It even wrote this intro for us.
Notion is more than just a workspace. It's our secret weapon for success in the digital age. Notion is a place where any team can write, plan, organise and rediscover the joy of play. It's a workspace designed not just for making progress, but getting inspired.
Notion is for everyone, CEOs, students and Lauren. If she can manage to navigate it, anyone can.
Try Notion for free when you go to notion.com/selfcareclub.
That's all lowercase letters, notion.com/selfcareclub, and start turning ideas into action. And when you use our link, you're supporting our show.
Notion.com/selfcareclub.
You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com.
I think that when you over prepare, or when one over prepares, there's little room for mistakes, but there's also little room for flow and little room for creativity. I think it stops those two magical things.
Yes, I agree with both of those things. But I often feel the things I prepare for don't need the creativity or flow. I'm preparing for like a particular, like say you're preparing for an exam. You need to prepare.
No, but we wouldn't prepare for an exam.
Well, no, we're not
right?
taking any.
Preparing for a talk, it does need creativity and flow.
Mm.
It's like preparing a dinner also needs creativity and flow.
But also lots of timings and lots of organisation and lots of prep. Like I'll wing it on a Monday night, but I wouldn't wing it for 10 people.
You know what's really weird is that when I have lots of people over, I always make a new dish.
Why?
I don't know. It's really weird. It's a stupid thing to do, isn't it?
It's not stupid if you're perfectly confident in your cooking, because sometimes your own cooking gets boring.
Often, I would say 9 times out of 10, when I have a lot of people over, I make something I've never made before.
Is it kind of like a test?
I don't know. I really don't know. And I don't get stressed about it. I really don't.
I don't get stressed about the cooking because I could cook for anyone anywhere, and that's totally fine. I get stressed about timings, making sure it's all perfect. And I think for me, a lot of this comes down to perfectionism. And I think that's probably what is at the root of a lot of this.
So coming to this show today unprepared,
Yeah,
that kicks your perfectionism off.
Oh my God.
As in, we're
so
not
much.
putting out a perfect
Yeah.
But what is a perfect episode? There's no such thing.
I mean, for me, it's hard to say because it's only the listener who can tell you what a perfect episode is. And I could tell you about 5 podcasts I listen to, and which for me are those perfect episodes. But for you or for anyone else, they'd be different episodes,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Because you're listening in for something else. But for me, a perfect episode is one that has some solid research in it, a lovely little bit of structure, a bit of it. Like, I love a routine, a structure, a format. For me, that's what makes it good. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's correct or the right thing for anyone else.
And adding to that, you can lose creativity and flow in that.
Yes.
Because I have noticed sometimes when you write the episodes, you get so drawn into what's in front of you on the script, and I'll throw a joke out that normally if we were just having a conversation, you would banter and we would get into a thing. You miss it sometimes because you're in the script.
Yeah.
So you're in that over-prepared part.
Yeah. It's hard to explain if you're not in podcasting the back end of what podcasting is, right?
Yeah.
So if you're because when I'm listening to a podcast, which I do pretty much every day, even though I do it for a living, I'm not necessarily thinking about how it is they're prepping the show or what they're doing for the show. I'm just kind of in the flow of enjoying the podcast. And so it's interesting that we're now discussing the back end of what we do to people who are probably listening to our show just because they enjoy whatever it is that they enjoy about the show.
Yeah.
But there is a, you know, we don't just come in on a Monday and do a show like this. There is always kind of preparation. There is a practice. There is a script. There is a something. So it's very, very different.
And we're always in format.
Yes.
And even, you know, in January where we changed the format up a bit and sometimes we have a conversation and now sometimes we're doing practices because we just wanted to develop the conversation and make it a wider conversation about well-being. Even when we're not doing a practice, there is a format to it. We're always in format.
Yes.
And so this is the first time we're not doing that.
I know. It's
but
very
also
weird.
The thing is that we know the format so well. We know each other so well. So if you think about it, we don't have a laptop here. We're not reading anything, which is, to me, it's really liberating because, wow, how exciting. Let's see where this conversation goes because now we're just free falling. And I think that's really great. And I was really excited to record this podcast today.
I was not. But James
But
was.
how is it now that you're in it?
I mean, it's fine. But as a listener experience, I can't tell you how it is.
But how is it now that you're sitting here with me?
But I feel like I could sit with you on a desert island and talk to you for 25 hours and it would always be fine.
Right.
But that's not a listener experience. So for me, it's that I'm always thinking about everybody else.
But you can't... We do what we do. And we have a saying always, don't we? We always say it to each other. It's like a very grounding affirmation. Let's just stay in our lane.
Yeah.
So we are in our lane, because now the topic today is about being prepared. And is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is there good in it? Is there ways that we can go around it? And is it always good for your well-being? Is it okay to sometimes just, throw caution to the wind and just be present and be where you are?
Is my need for preparation part of my need for perfectionism? I would say yes, it probably has to be linked into that. Yeah.
I would agree. And I do struggle with perfectionism, but just not here. It's weird.
Interesting. That is interesting. I struggle with it everywhere. And sometimes it makes me a little less spontaneous than I would like to be. But I think that's another part of I like to be always in control, and I like everything to be very measured, and I like everything to be the same. And you always say I'm like, nothing is extreme with me. I'm always kind of in the middle lane.
You are, but then there's a part of you that is so naughty.
There is, but you see, I can't let that out because I've said this to you before, it would be chaos.
You do let her out sometimes. I like your naughty side.
But it would be, I couldn't live like that. I couldn't live like that.
But even when you're being naughty, you're not like, you're not self-destructive, or you're not doing it. You're just more playful.
Yeah.
And that's a wonderful thing.
It's there. It comes out. It does come out. Like, Ollie was very surprised when we went to Greece last year, and he was like, there were lots of people going around the island. We were on a Greek island, and they were going around on the I don't know what they're called.
Motorbikes? Quad bikes?
Yeah, sort of quad bike things. And he was like,
mopeds.
How would you fit? It was more a quad. It was like a tri-quad. He was like, would you ever how would you? I was like, yeah, rent one. He was like, are you serious? Will you come on it? I was like, yeah, totally. Because we were free of the children and we were in Greece, and he was so excited. He's like, I never ever thought that you would say yes to that. And we basically stuck on some helmets and bombed it around the island and got a bit lost and went to some farm and went to the
Did you see what I mean? That is like not sticking to a plan. That's being spontaneous. That's fun. There's so much in it.
I can let it out.
Let it go.
In small doses, I can let it out.
And I guess what I'm saying is, which is why I wanted to bring this show here, because I think it's a really interesting conversation, because I think, there's so many different ways that people prepare for things, and people take to it all so differently. And I just think that's interesting in itself. But also, I selfishly want you to relax for Thursday, because I want us to do a talk in how we do a talk, how you and I interact together. And I think we can only do that if, in a really weird way, we are sort of unprepared. But we're never going to be unprepared, because we know what we're talking about so much. I'm not saying we're the experts in it, and we don't come from it we never come from an expert sort of doctory scientific place. But we do know what we're talking about, to the point that we have published a book on it. So whatever we do, when you're with me and we are present to whatever it is we're talking about, we have so much fun together.
We do always have fun.
We do. And I just want to bring that to the talk on Thursday, and always bring it here, which I think we do a lot of the time.
We're going to have to report back to the listeners how this talk goes, because I'm already slightly praying for flu.
The thing is that life has taken over. We've just been so busy, both of us, with our lives, that we actually haven't had the time to prepare. But there is no way that we are going in not knowing what we're talking about. There isn't. I trust our partnership so much.
I'm so glad you do.
That even if we're talking about it on the train on the way up there, it's going to be fine.
Okay.
What's the worst that's going to happen?
Well, listen, no one's going to come out of there dying. Even if every person sitting in the talk gets up from their seat, looks at their watch, yawns and leaves, we're still not going to die.
We're still going to come away, our friendship intact, everything's going to be fine. Our life still remains the same.
Our lives will go on. However well or badly it goes, our lives will continue on.
There's nothing... I do believe, and maybe this is where we come from at a different place, from recording this episode today and the talk on Thursday, I believe we have something to add. We always have something to add. And I believe that will always be helpful and informative, and I hope entertaining. And I just trust that very deeply.
Oh, I fucking hope so.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. That's why I don't feel the need to prepare so much. When we first started the show, I used to come to every show with pages and pages of notes.
Yes, we both did.
We both did. Now, I don't come with anything.
I know.
I just turn up.
I know.
Does that freak you out that I do that? Or do you trust me that I'm all right with it?
I know that you... No, I trust that you trust me. And that's okay. You're like, you turn up and you know, the shows will be here and it'll be fine.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is I used to come... We both used to write the shows, but now we don't.
Yeah.
We both used to come with our practices. We used to make notes and notes and notes of our experiences.
Yeah.
I don't do that at all anymore.
No,
because we know what we're doing.
We've done this for a long time, and we've done the same format and the same show for a long time. So it's become almost second nature to know what we're doing and what we're talking about and how we're doing it. I guess it would be the same if you were cooking a recipe you'd never cooked before. You would follow the recipe. You would have to look at the ingredients and when you put this in and when you stir this and how long it goes in the oven for. Once you've done it for 4 years, the same recipe, you just do it on autopilot, right? It's the same.
Yes, exactly. Which is why when I said to you last night, and we just could not come up with a topic, we just didn't have one.
No.
And I said, well, let's just do what's here. Let's just talk about being unprepared and how that is for both of us, because that is a real daily thing that people are managing.
Yeah.
How they prepare for something or how they don't.
Does it matter? Does it matter if you're unprepared? It obviously does when it's something like your A-levels. But does it matter in day-to-day life if you're unprepared? Because I'm watching my son doing his A-levels and my God, am I making sure, and so is he, that he is prepared. He's also had to prepare for his driving test that he's just passed. There are some things in life that need very dedicated preparation.
But also they're things that you haven't done before.
Yes.
They're like first-time things.
Yes.
You've never taken a driving test before.
Yes.
Right? This is not the first time we've recorded an episode.
Definitely
if we'd come to this studio today for the first time without a note, without a format, without anything, yes, it would be shit. We would have released a rubbish episode because where's it going? We don't know what we're doing. But actually, we've been doing this a long time. And now we're coming into the part of the format where we're starting to conclude, right? And we've had the conversation, we've unpicked it. Now we're starting to come into conclusion about how we feel about it and what we're going to take away from the episode. So we're doing the format naturally without having to have a script, just being with each other. I think it's very special.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
I like that you think that.
I do. Because we get to be present and we get to be in the moment and we get to just see what's here.
That bit of being unprepared, I very much like. And of course, that is sometimes where all the special things happen. When you don't know where you're going and you do rent a quad bike and drive around Greece.
Yes.
And you do that stuff. And like the day just kind of unfolds as the day unfolds. And that's fine because there's nothing riding on it. There's no one who's expecting you to be somewhere at 4 o'clock and da-da-da-da-da. There's no preparation that needs to be done. So I think, yes, there is beauty in finding the unexpected when you are unprepared, but it sits with me very uncomfortably because it is out of my control, out of my remit. It might not be perfect. And then what would happen? You know, that's all my stuff.
Yeah. And also there is no such thing as perfect. It doesn't exist.
No, there isn't. Of course there isn't.
But isn't it interesting that you can have this underlying background thought process and then a behaviour that is based on something that doesn't exist?
But it's so common to so many people.
But I find that so fascinating because it's like if you ask someone, when I said to you, what's the perfect episode or what's the perfect ITN talk? What's the perfect day in Greece? There is no definitive answer. There isn't one.
No, there isn't. But I also think this is why I'm married to someone who is quite spontaneous and quite naughty. And I would put you in this fairly similar camp. And I think it's good.
You're naughtier than me though.
Am I?
Yeah, definitely.
It's good for me because it brings out that side of me, which is I obviously am drawn to, but I can't go there myself.
So when we walked in today, we said to James, this is the first time we come to the studio without a show.
Yeah.
And he was like, all right, so just talk about how you haven't got a show.
Do a show on being unprepared. We were like, oh my God.
I said, well, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like me and James have the same brain.
You do.
We have the same very much ADHD brain.
You do.
So I loved how it just, hit him. So obvious to him, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But for you, who's more neurotypical than James, it's a stretch. It's such a stretch to do that.
It really is. It is.
I like it when you're stretched.
Do you? Okay.
I do.
Interesting.
Should we summarise?
Let's summarise.
See, now we're in summary. You okay? You're in summary?
I feel better now. I'm back in format.
You're back in... We've been in format the whole time.
This has been like a little mini therapy session, hasn't it?
Has it?
I don't know, a little bit.
I just think it's interesting. I think it's important to look at our stuff and what helps us, what defines us, and if and how it holds us back. So where does it serve us and where does it hinder us? I always think that's really interesting. Like there's a part of me, if I think about my productivity, the way in which I value productivity, of course that serves me because it means I get lots done and I'm always doing something and I'm usually doing things that I really enjoy doing. But it also, there's a cutoff to it where it's not fun, where I'm like a slave to it.
Yes, but you also have the opposite problem where you're so keen on the productivity, you don't like to stop. And you're uncomfortable in the stopping.
That's what I mean. So when I become a slave to the productivity and I'm exhausted and I'm burnt out and then I give myself a hard time to just lay on the bed and watch Real Housewives or just, have a day on the sofa. I can't do that comfortably.
Right. But I also can't comfortably leave things in my house a mess, even though the truth is no one would die, nothing would happen, probably no one would notice and no one would care. And no one's coming around to take photos and judge it. It's just my own stuff. It's just my own way that I have to move through the world to feel ordered and in control and calm and everything else. But it's not really serving anyone else, probably including me a lot of the time.
Well, I think it serves you to a point, which you kind of uncovered last week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm aware of my stuff, which I think is very important to be self-aware. I am doing this. Why am I doing this? Is it serving me? Is it holding me back? How can I change it or make it better for myself, right? These are all questions that everyone should kind of be asking themselves every day about all sorts of things in their lives, not just this.
And going back to what you just said about this is why you're married to someone like Ollie and you've partnered up with someone like me, it's so clear to me of why I've partnered up with someone like you, because you are so straightforward and you are so prepared and you are so stabilizing for someone like me. I feel better in your company. Like sometimes when I'm having a day and I feel a bit all over the place, when I see you, I feel better because you're such a stabilizing force in my life. So I love the fact that you prepare because it means that I can sit in being unprepared. And I can sit in it more comfortably because I know there's someone in the background that's kind of dealing with it.
But there's someone in the background sometimes likes to let go of the reins. Sometimes a little bit.
But you always can.
A little bit.
But you always can.
Yeah, I can.
Because you can rely on me.
And I do.
Yeah, exactly. So if you said to me, you know what, I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to write a show this week. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. That's no problem.
Please don't leave me to edit the audio because then we really wouldn't have a show.
Edit the audio.
We wouldn't have a show.
Wouldn't have a show. No, we wouldn't. But then sometimes you do like these really flashy reels on Instagram, and I'm like, how does she do that?
Then I can't remember.
Yeah, you can never remember how you did it.
I can only do it once.
It's so funny. It's like, and you've got like this jazzy new feature on it. I'm like, well, how did she do that? It's amazing.
It only happens once, and I forget.
Yeah. So I guess the summary is, I like that you prepare, but I think it would also serve you to let go of it a bit, just a little bit, at times. Like Thursday. Please let go of it for Thursday and just be with me and talk to me, and let's just talk to everybody and have some fun about chatting about self-care because it is really fun.
Clubbers, you better keep your fingers crossed for Thursday.
We'll film it.
No, we won't.
But we will report back on Friday's show of how it went, won't we?
Yeah,
we will. I hope you've enjoyed that episode.
It was a random one.
It was random, but it was good. And we'd love to hear your process of preparation and how you are with being prepared and being over-prepared or being unprepared. We'd love to hear that, wouldn't we? Yeah. And we can bring it to Friday's show. Yeah. That would be great. So be in touch. hello@selfcareclub.com. motherkind.co.uk. It's the first time Lauren hasn't had a script. You've done very well.
Thank you so much.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm okay. I need to eat, but I'm okay.
Okay. We'll get her some food. And we'll be back on Wednesday for our midweek meltdown, and we'll be back on Friday for our weekly wellness roundup show.
See you then.
Bye.
The Motherkind podcast explores how to feel happier, more confident and empowered in your motherhood, even in our world of pressure, judgment and comparison. I'm your host, Zoe Blaskey, and every week I speak to an incredible expert to share actionable steps and powerful lessons to living your life as a mother with more joy and unapologetic confidence. Listen wherever you get your podcasts, just search Motherkind.